Welcome to a very, very special episode of the Weekly Wowos. My name is Dennis Musali, your weekly host. I've been away for quite some time, but Franklin Kawowo and the rest of the guys have been holding fort. Did you guys miss me?
Personally, me, I didn't miss you.
Neither did I. No.
Hey guys,
As a host, yes. Everything else,
help
no.
me settle back in. Don't
Yes.
don't be rude.
Yeah. But I'll say it personally. I think I'm not a good host, for sure. I'm used to talking, not moderating people talk. So that is a hard seat.
No, but you see, Dennis, me would have missed you if I told you somewhere suffering, but you are those ends enjoying. So how can I miss you when you've been enjoying?
There's no reward.
Surely you've earned your enjoyment.
There's no reward for suffering, guys. There's no reward for suffering. But I've been away, of course, covering sports in Namibia. I was with the Victoria Pals, and I'm sure you saw all those stories on Kawowo Sports. The Victoria Pals trying to qualify for another edition of the Global Qualifier. Didn't go well for them, ending up finishing fourth. And not a very good experience, you would say. But you thought, ultimately, I think the best two teams really moved on. Zimbabwe and Namibia. The funny thing in that semi-final, both East African teams lost, and one of my Kenyan friends sent me, Kenya had lost, didn't make the semi-finals. So one of my Kenyan friends sent me that Pamoja thing, that together, Pamoja, we are together, don't worry. It's like they were happy for us to lose. But the Victoria Pals, unfortunately, failing to progress. And for them, they will have to wait for another 2 years before they can have an opportunity of going back to the global qualifiers. Franklin, you are watching from here. Your thoughts? I never got your thoughts. I'm picking your brain for now.
Victoria Pals.
I used to see them in a certain WhatsApp group, but
I'm
now putting you on the spot.
One of the things that I thought I would see is the change that has happened since the change of management. I mean, Deus and Brian. One, you'd want to see probably a change in skills or game approach or that kind of stuff. I mean from the girls, but to be honest, I didn't see a lot of positive change, if I may put it that way, as an impact of the coaches coming on. The attitude from the girls is pretty much laissez-faire, still the same. They play when they want. You don't see somebody, especially the experienced group, that applies themselves that it is about time that somebody steps up. Blow hot and cold, then comes in one game and she's batting so well. The next game she's giving away her wicket on a chip. Consi, she's bowling okay, but then she's giving away a lot in the field. All round play from the team wasn't really good, but pretty much the only positive was we know for sure at this point, we should know for sure that the number one batter we have is Esther Iloku, but she lacks skills. While she has the raw power, she lacks the skills or variation in her batting. If you put a man in at deep square, she's basically not going to get any runs. If like you're serious, you know, because that is her preferred shot, or should I say comfortable shot, or the only shot that she has. I always talk about the sweep shot that Kevin Awino had. That is it. The moment you take that away,
Too short.
she's not going to. And for me, what I want to see is Deus and Brian try to model a player like that, a young player like that, to getting something extra,
batter,
you know, because you know she's one who can get you runs at least with her raw power, and all that. If you can get her one or two more extra shots that she can go around if whatever deep square is covered, you know, to get runs. But for now, not a lot from the team that I saw, for sure.
I had the privilege of attending a sort of a workshop for all the coaches and the trainers for the teams, and Deus and Brian, in my defense of them, is that they have a difficult job. I think I learned that coaching women is not as easy as we might think. So it's going to be, I think it's going to take a learning curve for them to sort of first learn and then start to apply the sort of skills they learned from playing for the cricket cranes and then try and impart them into the girls so that they can go to the next level. So I think the advantage for them is that they are the coaches of the system, so they will not be easily fired. That no one is going to let go of them immediately. Yeah. Everyone is going to give them time. So there will be some pains, but the gains will come a bit later along the way.
Yeah. And for me, that is what I want to see. At this point, there is nothing you can change about the senior players on the team, but you want to model the young girls on the team into a certain way of how you want your team to play the game. And for me, that is something I would like our coaches to pick up on, that now the focus should completely turn from the senior players and model the young girls on the team into the way how you want the team to play cricket, because these are a gone case. You're talking Stephanie, you're talking Imi, you're talking, of course, Konsi. I want to put in Janet there as well, the captain. But from that point on, I think the focus should now start right now, turning from the senior players on the team. Of course, they still have 3-5 years on the team, but you want the young girls, the Irenes who are getting to the team, of course, Amongin who are thrown into the deep end, of course, Iroku, Hasov, and the others, to be modeled in a certain way that you want the team to play going forward.
Yeah.
You know, now that you have the liberty, because every other tournament you put in 2 or 3 young girls. So these are the girls that you want to keep consistent with, that you're teaching things that you want to be carried on over time.
Yeah.
Because there's not much you're going to change with the senior players who now know that Kazanyo Nkatege.
Brutal in his analysis there, Franklin Kawowo. But we wait and see what happens. You make a valid point that some of the players on the team, their ceiling is sort of they've gotten to their ceiling, but the younger ones can be helped along to try and I know for women's cricket you need experience in that team. You take all that experience, everyone will come after you, so they will just have to find a perfect balance. But in a way, I've gotten my start of the week out of the way. But my name is Dennis Msali, your weekly host. All of us in black today, coincidence, and it wasn't planned in the WhatsApp group.
No.
But I think normally you pick up black, when you're on campus, you pick up the black t-shirts because you haven't washed your clothes. The black is the easy one to go with.
You just throw it on.
But I'm with Joseph Man Muhomu's, our resident rugby expert, and Franklin Kawowo, our editor at Kawowo Sports. Let me start with Joseph. I've gotten my start out of the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dennis. And I'm very happy to be back here on another episode of the Weekly Wowos. When you guys were having that impassioned discussion about cricket, I picked up something that you mentioned, Dennis, and you were talking about how maybe coaching girls may be a bit, or ladies may be a bit challenging and whatnot. But when I take it back to the sport that I understand best, which is rugby, we have seen that girls are a little bit more coachable and teachable than the boys. The ladies will not do some erratic things out of the blue. Maybe cricket doesn't give you very many opportunities to express yourself, but when it comes to rugby, the girls will execute to the dot, and you can tell that this is a move that has come straight off the training pitch and onto game day. And that brings me to my starter of the week, which is the Nile Rapids. And theirs is quite the story because, as we have mentioned on this show before, they missed out on the first circuit, which is the coronation circuit. Then they went to Gulu. And I think missing out would have been a better option because then they fielded a certain team, and that team came last. And when you look at the way marks are allocated from the first one to the 8th for the women, you as a core side finishing lower than an invitational side, then that sends alarm. It rings alarm bells. Yeah, but then they went to Gulu, did very poorly. Then they come back to Entebbe. They do very well. They win Entebbe. Then they go to the Rujumba Sevens. They do poorly. They don't make the semi-finals. Then they come home to the Kyabazinga Sevens and they win. And now they find themselves at the bottom of the table. And if at all that is the trend that they have set for themselves to win and lose and win and lose and do well and do badly, Kabale is going to be a very tough place for them.
It should have been it's just going to be a tough for them. But I remember, I think it was after the Gulu Sevens where a couple of people were, contributing for boots for them. Is it?
So now they were contributing.
Did the donation come in, was it a timely donation that helped them do well in Entebbe and also do well at home?
Well, before the Nile Rapids Harambe call came in, the Walukuba Titans had gotten themselves some new boots, and then the regional Rapids didn't make it to Gulu, but there was a certain Rapids team that showed up and played barefooted. I think girls maybe as young as 14 or 13 playing in that competition. Then going into Entebbe, it was all resolved. The issues that they had going on with the Ginger Hippos and the administration were resolved, and they were resolved on Thursday that week. So when the other girls were leaving Gulu, because I heard that they are Gulu school girls, when they were leaving Gulu on Friday to come and represent the Nile Rapids, they were given a phone call and told, turn that bus around. The regional Rapids are coming to towns, and then they indeed came to town and showed up.
Oh, okay.
So the boots they were contributing for were for the other Rapids, not for these Rapids that won.
Okay. Nonetheless, at least the other Rapids put something out of it.
But it was a name, regardless, it was still Nile Rapids.
Whoever puts on that shirt is the Nile Rapids.
They got something out of it. And we'll start with the rugby conversation a bit later. But Franklin, you start.
Wow. My starter has to be, I'm also going to be biased a little bit. I'm going to get it from basketball. The Magic Stormers, school-going girls, beat the best offensive team, I think, during the regular season, the KCC Leopards, and they knocked them out of the playoffs. That was not on
What school is associated with Magic Stormers?
Budo.
King's College?
No.
Who are you refusing?
Be specific. Don't go to corners. When you say Budo,
when you say Budo, there is Budo of sports and then there is Budo of academics.
I'll tell you, there's a time in school, someone was running to be a prefect, and he wasn't a returning student. So when he went out to campaign, he said he's from KCB. That guy shouted, "Yo, I'm a man, yo." Yeah, but someone was like, hey, good. KCB in full. Kira College boutique.
Yeah. So, Magic Stormers are associated with Budo SS. Yeah. So most of the girls there have either gone through Budo SS or are still going through Budo SS. But the biggest, I think it was the biggest shock of the first round of the National Basketball League playoffs. Magic Stormers beating KCCA Leopards, and KCCA Leopards took the series lead. They won the first game, only that it was close, and then the second game they led by a very big margin at halftime, and then one of the under-18 graduates in Auma took charge of the rest of the series. She could almost score from actually sometimes they would even send a doubt team for her and she still beats the doubt team, and that's the kind of form that Auma was in to lead Magic Stormers to the semi-finals. I think this should be the story of this season. It was shocking to me. It was shocking for.
And I remember as if we spoke about KCC Leopards as one of the teams that could.
They were contenders.
Yeah, could contend for the title.
They were, in terms of the personnel that they have. Of course, when you have two national team players in who were at AfroBasket, you have Pelsi Nyamwenga and you have Tracy Namgosa who were at AfroBasket. This year with the Gazelles, of course, you have some of the biggest the players, I mean best players here. You're talking about Ninette, Uineza, the collection of players at KCA Leopards. You're not supposed to lose to Magic Stormers, and that is not taking away anything from Magic Stormers in terms of course, defensively they are very, very sound. Of course, they have a defensive-minded coach in John Omondi, but KCCA were a very, very, very big letdown so far, and kudos to the Magic Stormers. That is the biggest story.
Yeah, surprise there. And the National Basketball League now in its business end, semi-final stage that will be starting off this evening. Franklin will give us all the details a bit later, but also the journey to the semi-finals. There was a bit of noise about City Oilers and a couple of players they had brought in. But I've always felt that City Oilers are very, very dangerous at the back end of the season. Yeah. They just do enough during the regular season to get into the playoffs. And once they get into the playoffs, they're usually they're a different animal. I don't know whether for them the motivation is also to be the Uganda's representative at the BAL. but they sort of really change focus. Yesterday, I think I was in Gogo and I saw them even coming from a training session, and I was really impressed. But they are always a different, either because they've been in this situation so many times compared to teams like, of course, UCU has been there as many times as they have, but somehow UCU never has the kick to get over the line.
Because obviously they keep losing players. Once they are done with school, they are out.
Yeah, exactly. But the basketball conversation will also be coming up later. Let's start with the rugby and start from the Kyabazinga Sevens that happened last week. I had the privilege of going to the same school as the Kyabazinga.
Producer producer, give us another man.
That is real and necessary information.
Yes.
I don't know how much value it adds to the conversation, but
let's continue.
Kyabazinga
Sevens, hosted by the Walukwa Barbarians and winning their own series. Apart from Pirates, is it? I think they're the only other team to win their own series, not so?
Yeah, of course. The Barbarians won at Legends, and that was a home circuit. Okay, it was a Chadondo circuit, but not a home circuit for the Heathens. Then the Mongas failing to win in Entebbe. Then there is no Golo team. So the other team that has to win at home, that has the opportunity to win at home, that is the Buffaloes. Yeah, but going back to the Kyabazinga Sevens, obviously they were hosted by the Walukwa Barbarians, and with the blessing of the Kyabazinga himself, in order to mark, the start of that festive season, the coronation period, and celebrating, the coronation of the Kyabazinga. Of course, he had more blessings, but let's celebrate.
The seventh season happens during a coronation season.
Yes, and
the Kabaka, I'm thinking you guys should think about going to Fort Portal as well.
Oh yeah, it's to
all at the same time. Yeah.
Yes, but for the Kyabazinga Sevens, it has been done deliberately in order to align with the Kingdom sort of timetable. And if you realize that last year they were in August and the celebrations began in in late August. This year the celebrations were beginning on 9th September, and then the Kyabazinga Sevens sort of opened up that that whole festive season in Eastern Uganda. But sporting wise, of course, it was poetic that the organizers and the home team and the hosts, managed to win the Kyabazinga Sevens. When you go back to last year, they fell short against the Heathens. It was all square at full time after the 14 minutes, and then in those extra minutes, they sort of managed to, get back, and the Heathens sort of like came back in that game and won it. And the Walukwa Barbarians, I can tell you on good authority that they felt had done by that loss. And when they were coming into this season, they said the only thing we are looking at is to win the Kyabazinga Sevens, then appear in a few finals here and there. And luckily they have appeared in a final 1-1. Right now they have a few circuits under their belt, and that should be enough momentum to drive them into the Kabale Sevens. But then again, I earlier hinted on the women's side that the Nile Rapids, who have been blowing hot and cold, this was the opportunity to blow hot, and they were at home, and they won. Okay, they were in Ginger, and they won because there is also the Walukuba Titans, who are the female side of, the Barbarians. They have been doing very well. I think everyone thinks they have been punching above their weight, and that's why we think that they have been exceptional, which they have been. And, they have some incredible players in there, the Titans. That is, they have Caroline Anina, they have... I forget her name, Hope Mulonde in there, plus a few other girls that also go to Ginger SS, and they're the East African champions in sevens. So that also helps matters that they are playing together at school and also playing together at club.
Oh, wow. The great experience, the Kyabazinga Sevens. But I wanted to ask Franklin, really, apart from Heathens, the usual suspects have really not showed up in the seven circuit. It's been a case of I don't want to say the weaker teams, but the middle teams, the mid-table teams that have really taken advantage of the seventh season to try and Buffaloes have been good, Hippos are good. Just have said Hippos will in a circuit, they're yet to win one, but Hippos have also been a bit consistent, and of course Barbarians Walukwa have overall been the most consistent of all the teams. But the bigger names, is it a case of not either giving an opportunity to the rest of the squad to have a run out, or it's just not something they take as seriously as they do for the 15s?
No, I think the sevens game is a bit fair. I mean, it's where it evens up a little bit. Where
You're all equals.
You're all almost equals, and doesn't matter if you have a bigger weight or not. It's where small players in the game thrive, and of course, in our same professional setting or amateur setting that we have here, the players are almost at the same level in terms of skill, speed, and everything else. It is always going to be the little things of who wants the game more, who exploits the weaknesses of the opponents more, that is going to get the edge over the line. And what the Barbarians have shown is that kind of concern. They love and they will to win, and they go into every game in their mind knowing this is a game we can win, and that starts from their coach, who says, Leonard Luamba says there is not a better team with a better backline as Walukuva to start with. And for him, when he goes into a sevens game like this where he thinks it is a backs game, it's always going to be that. And this has nothing to do with the type of, because Pirates has deployed their best players, Okay, you may say Cubs have not at times, but all these big teams have deployed their best sevens players, if I may say that. So it is not a matter of saying the big teams are not shown out. It is a balance of power. So and it is the Barbarians that have showed that.
I've showed the consistency.
To get over the line.
But also to be fair to the bigger teams, we don't as much as say that they have declined, as would say that the other teams have also improved. The other teams have stepped up, and they are doing all the right things at the moment. They are recruiting properly. They are keeping their teams together at the moment. When you find a team like Heathens, for example, they are keeping their team together, but they are also bringing in very many players, and that sort of like shifts the team chemistry in there. Then you find now, for example, the teams that are doing so well right now, he has made the case for the Walukuwa Barbarians, but I'll make one for the Buffaloes. Buffaloes is a team that has historically been, a sort of very good sevens team. They have produced some of the national stars that we know of the yesteryears and even of today, who have since moved on from Buffaloes and maybe gone to Heathens or even Cobs, for example, Ghana, and that only shows you that now the Buffaloes are going back to their norms. They are going back to being the Buffaloes that wants to win things. Obviously, I wouldn't say that sevens is an easier avenue to take if you want success, but it is one of those options that you can always seek out. And if you have the right personnel like they do right now, it is a very good option to explore, given that you'll get back to the 15s and you find Hippos and Heathens have very good packs, and now you can't compete on that front, because then you're giving away penalties, then you're getting battered into submission. But sevens, it is everyone can win. Let us go.
And by the way, we talk about the big teams. These so-called middle teams have younger legs. Boys are going to blow by you. That is the honest truth. Because all you need is just a small space. And then your body cannot respond, and it's gone. And
you go left. He comes back right, you stay left.
and that's the beauty of saying. So, experience plays some bit of it. In seven, it does not do a lot for sure. It's because of the spaces that have to be exploited. The moment a team is good with ball in hand, pass, and then come back, a few skills, stepping skills and footwork, and then you're gone. And for me, that is, I think that's where the balance of power comes in, that when it comes to that, a young boy is going to blow by you. It is as simple as that. You're not going to find them.
And when you look at, for example, the team that is on the screen right now, that is the Ginger Hippos, I think the Walukuwa Barbarians are sort of picking from this template that the Ginger Hippos have used. Go out there, win your sevens, be very good. A stepping stone for the 15s. For example, I was asking Coach Leo, because there are some players that we are not seeing. For example, Edward Demim, he's not injured, he's just not playing because he's on a 15s program, and they are preparing him for that. There are other players in Shafin Kwampandi and Ruben Kagwisaje himself, their captain. But they are saying, no, we are also preparing a few players for the 15s. And therefore, if we use them now in the 7s, they won't be ready for the 15s. Yeah. And I think, honestly, they are almost there to achieve their target. So now they can take the luxury of sort of resting some of their more 15s inclined players.
Oh, interesting. And this weekend, of course, the 7th circuit now moving on to Kabale. The Kabale Sevens should be a very, very nice place to visit. Kabale. Very cold, but also I think another good place to play some good rugby.
And I'll be biased before Mantos. I'll be biased. The best 7 such I've watched was in Kabale.
I was going to come to that. I thought about that, but I thought maybe I should ask that when the season has ended, which one has stood out. But moving to Kabale, what should we expect? What are the groups looking like? Can the Barbarians, they have a 12-point lead at the top of the table. Can they have another consistent run this weekend? So if they are, I think you feel that if they have a good weekend this weekend, they might have just done enough for them to
win the series.
I did some small calculations and realized if at all the Barbarians win, the what? If at all they win the Kabale Sevens, then they just have to show up in the first quarter final and they are champions. Then
for the Buffaloes Sevens.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, going into Kabale, we only have 2 challengers. That is the Barbarians on top with 97 points. Then the Buffaloes with 85 points coming in second. Then Heathens comes in at a lower third with 78 points. And I also did some other interesting calculations that if at all Heathens wins both remaining circuits, they have to make sure that Buffaloes doesn't end up in 6th place. That Walukuba doesn't end up in 6th place. Even if Heathens wins the remaining 2, and Walukuba somehow ends up in a semi-final, they have still won.
That's consistency.
Yeah, very, very
that is consistency paying off for you there.
Joseph mentioned it when we were starting this conversation that the most consistent team, you may not necessarily even win any circuit, but as long as you've been consistent,
performing,
just keeping yourself at the top. But then the other thing from the Kyabazinga Sevens that sort of laid the foundation for the Kabale Sevens is that the Rhinos failed to leave the group, and in failing to leave the group, that means they are put in pot 3. Which means they will appear as the 3rd team in any given pool. Now, what that brings is that you'll find, for example, now Pool D has Banaba Legends. Pool Cobs. Of course, Legends doesn't exist. I'm sorry. It has Cobs, Buffaloes, and Rhinos in that pool because Rhinos didn't leave the group. In Kyabazinga Sevens, and that means that now because that is Pool D, and then Pool A has Walukuba and I think Pirates. It has and Hippos.
And Hippos actually.
Yes, so that means that number 1 and 2 in Group A, and number 1 and 2 in Group B. They are both, they are crossing and they are both in trouble because even if Walukuba finishes first and Buffaloes finishes second, those ends problems. Yeah. Even if Hippos finishes first, okay, let us leave Hippos. They are unserious. Okay, let's take the Barbarians. If Barbarians finishes second, they are still getting either Hippos, they are still getting either Cobs, Buffaloes, or Rhinos in the first quarter final. So it is quite complicated, and we shall wait to see how that plays out, especially in Group D of the Kabale Sevens.
Interesting, the Kabale Sevens. Franklin, do you think will there be any surprises in Kabale? Surely.
No. At this point, of course, as a Pirates leaning guy, at this point you have to acknowledge or admit that I think Barbarians have been the best side in this 7th season, and but there is not anywhere I don't see them in the finals in Kabale for sure. Regardless of who they are meeting in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, I believe this is a season for the Barbarians to win the 7th circuit. I mean the 7th series, and of course their form will continue into Kabale for sure.
Right. And you see, if at all this was a professional setup, I would be using very unnecessary English like the Pirates are the defending champions, therefore they have pedigree. But then you find that the Walukuba Barbarians have won the past 2 Gorilla Sevens invitational tournaments, so they are more acclimatized to playing in those conditions. But it doesn't matter in Uganda, whoever slept better will win.
And
whoever has whoever arrives in Kabale earlier than the
It
other.
depends whether your team ate a banana and an egg in the morning or you took porridge and a chapati. That can also determine whether you win. Because some teams eat a full buffet on a 7th morning.
Yeah.
By the second game, they are suffering.
Names, some teams, who's eating a porridge and a chapati. But speaking about, but let's feed. What about the ladies' side? Can the now Rapids, pick up their 3rd win of the series?
I think the now Rapids need it now more than before because they're running out of series. They're at the bottom of the table with 67 points. And of course, at the top end, the Thunderbirds have 96. And the thing is, the Avengers have 90. So let us leave the top end. And then when you get to the next person from 90 to 78, then there is a mismatch there. But at the bottom end of things, you find that the now Rapids, who have been, as we have said, they have been up and down. They have been a little bit inconsistent. They go into the Kabale Sevens knowing that now we have to add on to what we have already achieved in Entebbe and what we have also achieved at home in Jinja. Because if at all they do not win this one, it's going to be quite complicated. The other teams that would have been in contention for relegation, that is the She-Wolves and the Walukuba Titans, they're also doing very well. You'll find the Black Pearls that have been bashing, maybe out of love, they're also sort of climbing up the table, and the now Rapids are not. And yet they're a very good team, a team that can come through on any circuit and win it. They have incredible players like, that girl on the screen right there, Unity Namulala. They have Shane Babidie. They have Tina Akelo, of course. So they have the right artillery to go in Kabale and win it. And I think this is their time. Although the trend may show some inconsistencies of win-lose. This is their time to win and win again. Otherwise, relegation is calling.
How come the Black Pearls haven't had a good run in the 7s?
Well, they did begin with a lot of them aje. Most of their senior players were out. They embarrassingly put out a team sheet of 8 players. And I'm like, you could have just made up other names and throw them on there, because we don't even need to see your team sheet. That is between you and the union. But anyway, that's a by the way. But they began with when, for example, at the Coronation Sevens, they had only 2 senior players. That is Susan Adong and Charlotte Mudola. And we can say that they're all at the wrong side of 30 maybe. And then the other players started coming in slowly by slowly. You find Lydia Namabiro coming in and single-handedly winning the Rujumba Sevens for them. You see Rachel Mufua also coming in. My personal favorite, Rebecca Kabajungu, also coming in, but for a short time, because I think she's now going back to school. She's in Form 6. But she also came in and sort of, put in a performance for them at Rujumba and Kyabazinga. And they have also a bit of other players there. But now we all have to question that X-Factor player that hasn't been there. And she's a player I don't like talking about because it's quite complicated. But Emily Lekuru, I feel like she has been greatly missed in this tournament. She's the type of player that will give you about 20 tries in one circuit, in one outing of the circuit. Yeah. And, sort of lift the whole team. That mentality of give the ball to Emily. You guys do the hard work, then give the ball to Emily. She will finish as the best finisher in the league. So we could argue that is some of the things that have. Those are some of the things that have held them back, but they've been consistent. They have sort of picked up a few wins here and there, including winning their home circuit, the Rujumba Sevens. So we wait and see what they bring in Kabale. But for Kabale, I'm having Nairo Rapids doing something incredible. And then we get fireworks, we get fireworks at the Buffalo Sevens after that.
All right.
Mwagizi wa Black Pearls.
Thinking
Thinking passionately.
But how do the teams get to Kabale? Now here is how you're breaking down the usual math that you do for us. Kabale is not, when you're traveling to Rwanda, you travel more in Uganda than in Rwanda itself. So Kabale is not very, very near. Do they have to travel like on a Thursday and then so that you rest Friday and you start the action on Saturday?
So that also depends on the muscle of the club, because some clubs can afford to travel on Thursday evening, other clubs cannot. So you find a club like the Walukwa Barbarians, who probably, I feel like we're talking about them a lot on this show, but you find the Barbarians that
Give
is
them
very
their
prepared.
flowers.
Yes, you find the Barbarians that arrived in Gulu on Thursday evening from Jinja. They are probably going to arrive on Thursday evening in Kabale. Also, given the squad composition, you won't expect a player that shows up 1 hour before a 15th game of 4 p.m. because they have to work to travel on a Friday morning. Even it's quite impossible. So that may also be a factor. But for traveling, there have been, of course, subsidies from the Uganda Rugby Union, and then the teams also have to chip in some extra costs. So, yeah, they will travel, but it depends when.
Because if you finish the games on Sunday evening, then if Joseph is required to be at work like Monday morning, do you leave immediately or you?
Of course, it's for leaving
It's a
immediately.
bit difficult on teams.
For tournaments
especially
like,
if you're playing amateur sport.
yes, for tournaments like Gulu, for Kabale, for Soroti and Toro, you leave early. But of course, for Ginger, teams tend to stay around and then suffer in the morning on the water coolers after, getting battered, and then also their livers getting battered on that same day. So it's quite interesting for Monday. But for the further tournaments, you have to leave as early as possible.
Yeah.
And what is the math for the fans for Abagalo Genda?
Hey,
The fans, I heard that there is someone who has put a bus, one of the government Bitongole has put a bus. But let us go with the ones whom we are sure of. Of course, our transport is going to be on 150,000 from Chadondo to that is Kabale. They are going to play at
return trip.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're going to play at the is it the municipal pitch?
Main stadium, Kabale main
Yes,
stadium.
that one. That's where they're going to play from. So from Chadondo to Kabale, that is 150,000. You don't have to budget for the drinks because there will be drinks on board,
On board.
going and coming back.
And,
And
you know
then-
the type of drinks, of course,
Yes.
not.
And they are leaving Friday night at 8 p.m. from Chadondo. That's when they are setting off. So you just arrive right in time for the first game of the day in the morning. So I think the fans will love it. They are seeing Michael Korash loving it over there. And then the internal expenditure, now that's on you. But just get your 150,000 and go. Your drinks are sorted, going and coming.
I don't know where you will sleep on the 150k because Joseph hasn't explained.
No, you sleep in the
when
bus.
I think you sleep on the bus. The drinks will have taken a toll on you and you just decide to sleep on the bus. But the 7th circuit moving on to Kabale. Is it called the Kabale Sevens or the Gorilla Sevens?
No,
They are called the
Kabale.
Kabale Sevens.
Kabale
Gorilla Sevens are different.
Ah.
It's an invitation of Rams, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's an invitational tournament by Rams.
Okay, the Kabale Sevens happening this weekend in Kabale, the Switzerland of Uganda, like they like to say.
Yeah.
So if you can be able to follow all your teams, please make sure you make your way down there. But if you can't, of course, Kawowo Sports has got you covered. We'll give you all the updates from Kabale and how the action goes down. Will the Walukwa Barbarians hold on to their lead at the top of the table, and the Now Rapids, can they pick up their third win of the circuit, of 7th circuit this year? They've been the surprise team, but Joseph has said they win, lose. So you can make a argument. But this weekend is promising the Now Rapids will win when the circuit moves to Kabale. But that has been the update from the rugby conversation. You can see there. Yeah, the Walukwa Barbarians, they've collected some money from the circuit, and if they can hold on, I think they will collect much more if they are declared champions of the whole series. And I like the design of the trophies as well. They are made out of the iconic bridge in Jinja. So it's very some good stuff they are done by Walukwa Barbarians, and as they host, as they win, as they won their own series. So it's very good to see. A lot of them, they had I think the misfortune they had when they were coming from Gulu, what Coach Lee went through was just really a small bump in their season. It just it hasn't slowed them down at all. I thought it would derail what looked like a good start from them.
No, ideally it wouldn't, because even when it happened, we were going into a rest weekend when they were coming from Gulu. There was a rest weekend where the Kawowo Sports and the Irish Blackrock and the Ugandan All Stars had an amazing game going on at Chadondo, so they had the full 2 weeks to recover. I remember seeing Coach Leo in Entebbe. He wasn't on the touchline, but he was there with some sort of bandages, and I can confirm that they are all doing well right now. Maybe apart from Duncan Kiria, who underwent some serious surgery, but I've also seen him, and I think he's doing well, and I think they're all doing well. However, if at all you know their personal numbers, if at all you know their X handles, you can always reach out personally and send whatever message you have, not to sort of like say sorry and a quick recovery and all that.
Yeah, we wish everyone good health from the guys who suffered that mishap. I spoke to Coach Leo, and because I know him personally, and I hope that he assured me that he will be well, and it's good to see that. You sort of feel that if sports sometimes is fair, the redemption should be that Walukuba should go on and win. Yeah. But sometimes anyway things don't work like that. But that has been that's some of the action from the
that is Walter Otim right there, very promising player from the Heathens. If they handle him well, he's going to be one for the future. Yeah.
You felt that Heathens could have done so much better since a lot of their stars were really available for. That is one of the guys we hosted here on the special edition of the weekly Wowos. Robert O'Kane. But you thought maybe Heathens would be the team that pushes the envelope big time.
Well, as the defending champions, you sort of expect better from them. But you would argue that they didn't have Aaron Ofoeroth in there. But I feel like they did what they had to do. Of course, that man running into the frame for the Heathens right now, Julius Oyuk, he has added more points. He has added more tries to his name, and he has been a revelation this season. So you expect the Heathens maybe not... They haven't lived up to the potential that we all know that they do, but they have some positives in there. As I've mentioned, that Julius Oyuk that you've just seen, the current top try scorer. When you look at Walter, a young man coming into this team. When you look at Sula, not a young man, but he has really stepped up his game. And then you find on the what I would call positives for us, you find that now they are phasing out the Michael Okoraches, they are phasing out the Bongo Means, they are phasing out Sebuliba, although he still has the wheels, and on occasion he has showed us that he has the wheels, but they are also phasing him out, and they're bringing in these younger players. Patrick Okello is now a mainstay and is also on the national team. Maybe they're missing out Malcolm Okello right now, and also at the Kyabazinga Sevens, Aaron Ofoeroth didn't play, he's injured, so you could argue that they weren't a sevens team, we all know that, but they have done very well. And they are still building their sevens, sort of program. Yeah. Maybe they started reaping a bit earlier than they should have, but it has paid off.
How much has the joining of Coach Tobert Onyango, has he had an influence yet, or he's just still putting things together?
We can't say that we have seen that influence yet, because this is a game of sevens. You can just put Franklin with 6 other guys and they will play. I'm not saying that it is easy, but I'm saying it's very hard to see the touch of the coach in a sevens game. Obviously, there will be some pointers of, this coach wants his team to kick. And in sevens, you kick away, then you chase, and the lucky bounce, and you're in business. But you can't tell that exact touch from Coach Tolbert. Of course, the players that I've mentioned, you would argue that maybe that is the difference that he has made, because these are not new players to the Heathen setup. Julius Oyuk is not a new player to the Heathen setup. He has been with the under-20 in 2022. He has been on the sidelines at Heathens, especially in the 15s, but now he's doing very well. Sulaiman Gobi-Sula, he's doing very well. Patrick Okello has now become a more mature player. You don't see him getting those unnecessary cards. They had also introduced some other kids in there, Vania Deboa, another young man called Otim, I forget his other name. But yeah, we just need to give him time. But then for the women's end, as we conclude, the thing is, the Nile Rapids that you see on that screen, they played a very beautiful final, and I think everyone that watched that game enjoyed their defense because they realized they're playing bigger girls. So what do? Tackle low, let them drop, and then someone immediately goes for the turnover. Instead of tackling high, now it is taking 2 or 3 girls to take down one big girl. One small girl tackles you low, you go down, then another one comes for the turnover, and you've lost that ball. And that last play of that game, I think, just exemplifies the sort of philosophy that they have. We are small. What are we going to do? We are going to play a faster game. We are going to execute our set pieces very well, and that's what they are doing. So I really hope they do better in Kabale.
Yeah, Joseph, they are rooting for the Nile Rapids in Kabale. We'll wait and see what happens down under, and we'll always, as usual, we'll always make sure we bring you all the updates from Kabale on Kawowo Sports. But now switching up the conversations from rugby and straight to basketball. Like we mentioned earlier, the basketball season now in its business end. All the girls, the ladies are being separated from the girls, and the men are being separated from the boys. Yep. We are now at the business end, and actually the playoffs start this evening. The main City Oilers taking on Summit. Yep. I'm surprised that I'm saying Summit in the semi-finals. While the other semi-final, which for me I look forward to, is the UCU Cannons taking on Namongo Blazers. I think Namongo Blazers is like team yomu to kolera abantu Namongo Blazers. That should be an interesting semi-final. Yeah. I mean, on the overall, let's say, let me start with City Oilers coming through. JT Jaguars for them to get to the semi-finals. Yeah. Of course, there was an issue with the players are registered late, blah blah. But eventually, City Oilers staying focused and getting into the semi-finals. Yeah. And I feel they have a very fair semi-final draw, in my opinion, when they take on Summit.
Yes. Yes, and I don't want to say no, but yes. Yes. The thing with okay, I want to start with that series against JT Jaguars. Right now, I think one of the best coaches that we have in our league is Sudolanga, with the work that he has done with the JT Jaguars.
I saw the wife sending him a shout out on Twitter, which was very well. I'm like, said my husband is the best basketball coach in the country. But I don't know if did that distract them a bit when they were trying to, petition and then try and overturn the petition? Do you feel that sort of distracted them from the assignment proper?
No, not exactly. At least not from how they played. I think they played very competitive, but in the end, what you expect from young players is exactly what happened. I thought they had very many opportunities to win both games, by the way. You see, when you look at the first game that they lost by more than 12 points. But they had very many opportunities of when they were leading by, I think, 5 points. They had about 3 opportunities of fast breaks, where 1 versus 3, 1 versus 2, where it would be an easy layup, and then they were choosing the shots that which would have stretched the lead to probably 10 to 12 points, and that is something that you can work with as an inexperienced team. That is some point mind that you can work with, but in the end it was the inexperience from especially their guards. They have very young guards who are just on the come up, and they are going to make decisions that ultimately cost games, and that is exactly what happened. Of course, in game 2, one of their best players goes and misses pretty much a layup, which could have leveled the game, and you see the circumstances under which they lost the 2 games, not a team that was beaten hands down. It was a team that lacked experience and all that. I thought they responded quite well to the 2 new players that Stella has brought in, Katu Weshda and Chad Bowie. Of course, you're going to have a player like Aaron Eboyu, he's a bit talkative. He's a motor, so he's always going to have a word or two for the American players. And throughout in the 2 games he was more like back and forth with these players, what basketball players call trash talking. So, but one of the things that derailed Jet Jaguars is the inexperience from their guards, and I thought they could have done better than the results. A 2-0 doesn't really show what happened on the court. Yeah. It would show like they did not compete, but they're very competitive. They lost the second game by just 2 points, and I'm saying it came down to the layup of that George Agassi missed. You know, they had opportunities to win this game, but they did not. Again, you always say here, better be lucky than...
Yeah, better be lucky than be good.
Yeah.
But I think that was the peak of really the quarterfinal draws. Yeah. Now moving into the semi-finals, does Summit have a chance of stopping City Oilers?
When you look at it from the outside, I mean, in terms of the player personnel, I think Summit has 2-3 real good players. 2-3. I mean, you have Peter Cheng, you have Tembo, you have Nyembo, the center. I think these are very, very good players. But I think the major problem with them is that some of them are individualistic, and as history, or as we've known to know basketball, it's a team sport. There is just not enough an individual can, of course, deliver. People will talk about the impact that, for example, Parish Petty had on Stewart last season. Yes, you can have that one player, but again, the rest of the players have to be at a certain standard, level, you know, to be able to get over the line. You want to believe that with those players, Summit should be able to compete, but they are not sort of a team kind of players. They are individually talented, and they can get you points here and there. But in terms of being able to have that cohesion plus a team and kind of make their team work, it's very difficult. It's a team that plays a lot on running basketball, transition basketball, and once you take that one, they now have to think in the half court. Things start to jam a little bit, and that is where I still always want to put you.
Yeah. Let's talk about...
Franklin, how long have they been together, and how long have they been in the league?
They came this season. They came to the league this season. They did not get promoted.
So how did they end up in the league?
So they took on the position that was left by our savior. Our savior opted out of the league, and Summit took on that position for both the position of our savior to be in the league. Of course, they started very poorly, and then in mid-season, that's when they brought on Peter Cheng, they brought on Kasereka Tembo, and they brought on Nyemba as well. The 3 players who changed about their fortunes to get into the playoffs as well.
And find themselves in a semi-final.
And that is the reason why I'm saying that, of course, these 3 players can get you buckets and all that. And they can get you a win, by the way. They can get you a win.
So would you call it a done deal in 3?
Most likely not a sweep. I think they have a win in them. Maybe 3-1, maybe 3-1. I think I want to believe that Summit can drag on one game, can pick one game in the 3, unless, of course, but it's not something that I can really bank on.
Semi-finals, 3, is it a
best of 5? Yes.
Best of 5.
Best of 5, yes.
So no room for them.
I don't want to believe they will be swept. Of course, coach, I was speaking to Coach Albert Achiko of Summit, and was like, we're going to bring the game. But then there is talking, and then there is a players responding to what you're saying. It happens differently.
That's a different thing.
You may want to bring the game, but the game refuses to be brought.
Let's speak about the other semi-final, which I find very, very interesting. UCU versus Namongo Blazers. Yep. I think everyone wants this. Blazers have had this sort of season where you feel they should ultimately go on and win the championship. Yeah. Is there a way Nick Natuheres and his boys can be able to stop that?
You want to say because of the coaching, you want to say they should or they can. Just because Nick is always going to have the strategy to win a game or even two. But in terms of personnel, I don't think whether you go player by player, I think Blazers are a bit far away from the UCU Cannons. Apart from Jackson Kaira, for example, you don't see another big man at UCU Cannons that can cause any sort of problems for the Namibia Blazers. And you see how UCU Cannons run their offense. Most of their offense run through half-court offense runs through that Joe Kaira with the handoff at the top. And if Nam Blazers take away Joe Kaira, for example, half of the offense would be taken away from the UCU Cannons, and it becomes a little bit easier to do. When you're talking about, for example, the backcourt, the guards, you have experience and speed the other side of Nam Blazers, and then you have young guys this side, because when you have Tony Drieba, you have Jimmy Nabu, you have, of course, Ivan Muhwezi, Joel Lukoji, and then they're going up against Otim, Jimmy Otim, and the young guys at UCU Cannons. You see a scale that is a little bit imbalanced, and with all due respect to UCU Cannons, I would be surprised if they picked a game in that series.
Yeah, you bring it out the broom there, but the final everyone wants to see, Namongo Blazers versus City Oilers. I think that is the final that every basketball fan will want to see. But quickly, before we conclude, we'll speak about the side of the ladies. Yeah. JKL taking on the Lady Cannons. Yeah. And Jetty
Jaguars taking on the Magic Stormers.
Yeah. Again, I feel like JKL and Lady Cannons is the peak of the semi-finals.
Yeah. And that is because again, it's not that the current UCU Lady Cannons will be ready like next season, not this season. Whatever they achieve this season will be an overachievement because these girls, I think, will hit their peak next season. That's when you know that this is a UCU team that is now ready to win. And obviously, again, for UCU Cannons, it is down to coaching. That the way they are coached, they always have a result in them. They can always pick a win of JKL Dolphins, and they can even take the series to the entire way. But I don't want to believe that at this point there is a team in the ladies division that is better than JKL Dolphins. I think they still better than every other team.
They are the standard.
They are the standard in terms of player personnel and of course achievement. But with UCU is that you don't know what kind of scheme that Coach Nick is going to put together. Yeah. And again, the other side with the JTL Jaguars and Magic Stormers is that Magic Stormers probably run the best defensive strategy of the two. As I said earlier, John Omondi is a guy who always likes, who prefers defense to offense. First defend, and then good defense is going to set up your offense automatically. And obviously with that, you're going to see a series where Jetty Jaguars are not going to find getting baskets as of course they were in the quarterfinals. Can Magic Stormers pick a game? Difficult, but I think the excitement that the Magic Stormers got after eliminating KCCA Leopards, they seem like that is a thing they had hit. They had overachieved. Whatever they get after that is
bonus.
It's bonus.
So looking like on the women's side as well, it's looking like a JKL versus JT Jaguar final.
Kind of, yes.
And the men we are looking at City Oilers versus Namibia. But again, we'll be giving you all those updates on Kawowo Sports. So make sure you keep checking out the website and all our social media channels for any updates from the National Basketball League semi-final playoffs that start today, this evening, at the Lugogo.
Yeah, Lugogo
Indoor Arena.
And obviously it's the men playing first. There is a 3x3 tournament for the ladies that is coming up. So men are playing today. That is the men's fixture that we talked about of Easter Oilers Summit and UCU Blazers today, tomorrow Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
It's a crash program.
Crash, yeah.
You need a very fit team. But just before we go, speaking of the World Championships in Tokyo, any chance for Uganda winning a medal?
Fingers.
We have started following other countries.
Fingers crossed for Peros Chemtai tomorrow at 3:57 p.m. I want to believe she's going to win a medal. I don't know whether it is gold, bronze, or
Isn't
silver.
She the defending champion?
No, she's not. She has not won a world title.
By the way. She won Olympics.
Yeah, she won the Olympics. And why I'm saying that is because the Olympic medal she won was in that very stadium where they are running, the Japan National Stadium. So I'm hoping it is some sort of charm for her. And again, she ran the best time across the qualifying heats. And I think for me, what it showed me is that she's not there for any sort of jokes. Because what has been, I think, the trend for the steeplechase is that you have to run about 9 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 7 seconds in that range to be able to win the steeplechase. And when you look at the people, the ladies who I think should be competing again, or who will be competing again, have you talking about Cherotich of Kenya, Jeruto, and then the defending champion Yavi of Bahrain, a Kenyan of Bahrain. They did not run particularly well in the heats, in the qualifiers for the finals. I don't know if they were just reserving energy for just doing enough to qualify for the finals and then bring it in the finals. But I feel that Chemtai is in very, very fine form to win a World Championship medal. And I believe she's going to get Uganda its first medal at the World Championship, this year's World Championships.
Tomorrow. Peros Chemtai, the whole country of 45 million people is really behind you. And we'll be cheering for her tomorrow afternoon in Tokyo as she's running. And these are the World Championships, by the way. Winning you, finishing among the top 7 gets you something. Top 8 gets you something. But of course, when you're the champion, you get a lot more than number 8. So we hope that Peros can be able to do the business in Tokyo tomorrow afternoon at the World Championships for the ladies, because somehow I think a lot of people stop following when they realize that Cheptegei and Jacob Kiplimo won't be at the championships. But please do not switch off as yet. Peros Chemtai will be in action tomorrow, so we could be able to win ourselves something. But that has been our time on another interesting episode of the Weekly Wowos. A lot of rugby conversation and basketball, but I hope you've been able to pick a thing or two about the Kabale Sevens that will be happening this weekend, and also the National Basketball League semi-final playoffs that start off this evening at the Lugogo MTN Arena. But I've had the privilege of hosting Joseph Man Muhumza, a resident rugby expert. Connoisseur. He broke down the maths for you to go to Kabale, 150k only. And we go. And our editor at Kawowo Sports, Franklin Kawero. I've been Denson Sali, your weekly host. And make sure we'll be back with you next week with a lot more of everything we've been able to read on Kawowo Sports. And as always,
that cricket.
At the cricket. We'll be previewing that the T20 World Cup qualifiers. But as always, make sure you keep reading Kawowo Sports.
All right.